A coworker of mine once said, customer service is a humbling experience. We've all encountered customer service workers at some point in our lives. At the grocery store, fast food restaurants, and even at the gas station. To be honest, you might have encountered some of the customer service workers from my examples in the past few months, because in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, all of the examples I listed feature workers that were deemed essential. Particularly, fast food restaurant jobs are among some of the most undervalued and underpaid jobs despite being deemed an essential service. Fast food workers are typically regarded as being uneducated and they're paid very poorly, just minimum wage. Despite this, because they provide food, which is a necessity for everyone, their jobs are considered an indispensable part of our nation's infrastructure. We've all heard the jokes and comments about these types of jobs. If you don't work hard in school, you'll only be able to find a job at McDonald's. These jobs are painted as undesirable and as a last resort for people who can't apply anywhere else because they aren't qualified to work anywhere else. For example, a lot of young people will have their first jobs at fast food restaurants because these restaurants will hire these young people even though their resumes only have so much on it. They're sparsely filled out. They have maybe a couple of clubs and the high school. And so these jobs do, for a lot of young people, serve as starter jobs to fill out to put in more on their resume. Fast food jobs in part target high school students. McDonald's is well known for hiring individuals under 16 as young as 14 years old. Because these jobs are considered in part jobs for students who still live with their parents who pay for their necessities, a lot of people are very against paying these positions more than minimum wage. Despite high schoolers not being the only people who work these positions, these jobs are stigmatized as positions for people who don't work hard. And that's another argument that people will use in support of their stance to keep these jobs as positions that get paid the very bare minimum. In contrast to how society views fast food positions, we have learned in the past few months that these are essential jobs. In mid-March, a lot of people lost their jobs and they were forced to apply for unemployment to receive money because the COVID-19 pandemic caused many businesses to close. For example, courthouses were closed and the date that taxes are supposed to be filed was pushed back because a lot of tax offices were closed and people couldn't do their taxes. And these are jobs that we consider to need a lot of education. Courthouses are filled with judges and lawyers, and you need to be a lawyer, you need to go to law school, you need to go to your pass the bar, and you need to have a lot of education. So even when these jobs were closed, fast food restaurants were still allowed to be open and were able to serve customers through their drive-thrus. So despite being stigmatized as a last resort job that underpays, fast food workers have proven that they provide a necessary service, which is feeding people. From a young age, people are taught that they need to work hard in school because otherwise they'll be flipping their they'll be flipping burgers their entire life, and we're taught that that's a bad job. And we're taught that in part because it gets paid so little, and part of the reason it gets paid so little is because people stigmatize this role, and they have this idea that this role can only be filled by people who are rejected from every other job because they aren't educated enough, they aren't qualified enough for other positions. And because they feel these people are so unqualified, they're totally against and reject the idea of paying these workers above minimum wage or raising minimum wage to pay these workers more. Despite these ideals regarding fast food workers and how much they should be paid, these jobs have proven themselves to be necessary, even when others that require years of education we've seen been shut down in a sense. And because we've learned that these jobs are necessary, they're essential to our nation because they feed people, we must treat these jobs with the respect that they deserve, because if we're going to deem these jobs as essential, which they rightfully deserve to be, we need to treat them like they're essential.